Welcome to the national meeting of CEOs for Cities. My name is Lee Fisher. I have the honor of being the president and CEO of this great organization. And I just want to do a few housekeeping things before we begin our program this morning. First of all, your safety is our top priority. So I want to give you the instructions should the unlikely thing happen and that you have to leave this facility quickly. There are emergency exits located on the north and south sides of the building. You just follow the exit signs to each stairwell and exit the building at the lowest level possible. You should know that this is the first conference in the history of this building. It's also the first time this space has ever been used for anything like this. When I met with the leaders of Grand Rapids about a year ago and we were looking for a site, I said, you know, CEOs for Cities does not hold our events at hotel ballrooms. We like to do something a little different and unique. And for those of you who were, for example, at the Boston meeting last year, we did it in the fabulous space that looks much like this of Mass Challenge. So I said to Ginny Seaforth and Eileen McNeil of Seaforth PR, who have been instrumental, by the way, in putting together this entire national meeting, find me an empty, raw space, thinking that there was no way they could do it. We came here, and if you could have seen this space just a year ago, it's been transformed. It's been transformed not just because of Grand Rapids leadership, but also because of a remarkable company that is located in Grand Rapids. You may have heard of them. They're called Steelcase. You are sitting in state-of-the-art conference furniture. You will, if you had a bad back before you came, it will be cured. If you have aches and pains, they will go away. You are going to be more relaxed and more attentive than any conference you've ever been simply because you're in Steelcase furniture. They did not ask me to say this. I also want you to know that if you're looking for a conference where the speakers come in from behind the curtains, you never get to see them, they're far away, you're at the wrong conference. We actually try to keep our conferences to about 250 to 300 people. So that we can have the diversity of having people, as we do this year, from 75 different cities, but at the same time have sort of an intimate feel. If you're looking for a conference where you wonder who was there because you didn't get to meet everybody and you never got a list of the attendees, you're at the wrong conference. Because if you open up your book, not only will you see contact information about how to harass your fellow colleagues over the coming weeks and months, but if you're thinking, I know I want to meet Meg Fitz, or I knew I want to meet Aaron Flynn, or I want to meet David Williams, but I don't know what they look like, we have their photo too. Most conferences don't do that. And most conferences also don't have people like Nancy Zimpher, George Hartwell, the mayor of Grand Rapids, phenomenal leadership that you'll hear from, like Jerry Tubergen, and of course, Bruce Katz. If you open up your black bags, you will see that all of you have the program I'm referring to. You also have our City Vitals research that is used widely throughout the country to benchmark a city's success. You'll also see that you have a new piece of research that we've released literally just today for the first time called The Green Dividend, and Joe Courtwright, our senior research advisor and the author of this great piece, will be presenting on it tomorrow morning. And you'll also see something that you probably won't be able to figure out what it is, but we'll explain it later this morning. It's a card deck. And during our interactive session, you'll understand what that card deck is. It's now my pleasure to introduce the chair of the board of CEOs for Cities. I'm very lucky because, as you know, if you're the CEO of an organization, your happiness is directly derived by how nice and effective your board chair is. That's why I'm in a good mood today. Because she hates when I give effusive introductions. She's going to cut me off before I finish. But ladies and gentlemen, the Chancellor of SUNY, State University of New York, Nancy Zimpher.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. We had an opportunity last night during this fabulous reception to thank Lee and his team, but now you're beginning to see why, because the logistics of really getting the feel of a city and moving around and walking tours and panels and massive number of exciting speakers, it all comes down to Lee and his team. So just to begin, and we'll end this way tomorrow, thank Lee Fisher and the team of CEOs for Cities. Thank you, Lee. I am thrilled to represent our board of directors. We'll be meeting this afternoon while you'll be walking, and we need to take this opportunity to get ourselves together and think about the future. We'll be talking with you about that tomorrow. And to each and every one of you as teams or as individuals who took the time on your calendar to come and see what's happening in Grand Rapids, Michigan, we want to thank you. I was thinking personally about what has brought me to CEOs for Cities over the years. I think the first thing is that I've bought the theory of anchor institutions, and I use it regularly when I talk about the 64 SUNY campuses. They are located within 30 miles of every New Yorker, and trust me, this is an organization that needs to embrace the concept of anchor. Sometimes when I'm a little frustrated legislatively, I say, you know, guys, we can't move the corporate headquarters of the State University of New York to New Jersey. We need to make it work right here in New York and right here in the small and medium and large-sized cities that grace that state. So I'm here to learn more about how to be a better anchor institution, to be place-bound and in service to place. I'm here because I believe that universities, which is the sector I represent, and a little later on you'll meet our leaders in the local universities, Luana Simon from Michigan State, of course, in her house today, and our good friends at Grand Valley. I really think that universities in cities are symbiotic. A great university needs a great city, but then a great city needs a great university or two or three, or in the case of Boston, 62. So I'm here for that reason as well. And then I don't think I've ever been at a CEOs for Cities meeting that I haven't left with a new idea and with some inspiration. So when my cab turned the corner and left the freeway and entered into Grand Rapids and saw all these people on the street, I go, what's going on here? And now we know what's going on here, and we're going to get a piece of it. So all of that is just a wonderful, wonderful privilege for all of us, and I'm sure for you as well. So there are some honors, not the least of which is meeting our mayor. And to do that, I want to introduce you to Jerry Tubergen. Lee printed this out on a little piece of paper, the phonetics of Jerry's last name, and neither one of us have really gotten it right. But what is really important about Jerry is the role he plays here in Grand Rapids. So he is the CEO and CIO of RDV Corporation. It's a full-service, multi-generational family office established to serve the Richard M. and Helen DeVos family. So I think you're beginning to get your arms around the care and feeding that this family has given this city. And so Jerry comes with a rich array of accomplishments. One of his degrees from Western Michigan State University, so that's a good thing. He not only has brought his expertise to the management of this massive enterprise, but he is in his own right a community contributor to faith-based and civic organizations, and so he leads by example, and he's the perfect person to introduce us to the mayor of this great city. Jerry?
Thanks, Mary and Mr. Pfizer. My job here this morning is to welcome you to this great city of ours, and I do that on behalf of probably more than 24 different businesses, foundations, different organizations that have really kind of collaborated together and made a welcome mat rollout for you. So I hope you all have a great time while you're here the next few days. So we're honored to have you here. I wanted to tell you a brief, a little bit of a perspective on some of the things that have created this backdrop here for the city that you're enjoying, that we're enjoying. And it really kind of goes back about 6 or 7 years ago. A few of us got together and had lunch with each other, and we tended to notice that our children weren't necessarily coming and setting up their new lives here in Grand Rapids. My oldest had just moved to Boston, and while we had a lot of great things going on in this city, we kind of asked the question to each other, what next? What do we need to do next to create a vibrant community that our own children want to be a part of? And so we started that process, but we followed on a tradition that was really begun about 30 years ago. Many of you are staying in the JW Marriott Hotel or perhaps the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel. Well, the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel was built exactly 100 years ago. 30 years ago, it looked nothing like it does today. I mean, it was not a pretty place. And we had a couple of our entrepreneurs in this community, Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel, who sort of went out on a limb and said, if we took the effort to put some money into this thing and renovate it and create a place that we'd be proud of in our downtown, perhaps good things would happen to the city. And they did that. And it was not, I can tell you, a good investment decision. It was a community investment decision. When I say investment, I'm talking about a financial investment. But it turned out to be the thing that kind of jump-started a great perspective that we enjoy in this city of collaboration. That's one of your themes, I think, for this conference is how it's called the art of collaboration. And I think they really began that process 30 years ago by going out on a limb and making that investment. About 10 years after that, another group came along called Grand Action. And Grand Action was very involved in looking at the community and sort of saying, well, we need to take it to the next step in an organized fashion. As a result of that group, initially started by 3 guys that brought together some other community leaders, we now have a new convention center that you'll see over on the river, some in excess of a couple $100 million project. We have a new arena. We have a new downtown urban market. All of those things were done with public-private partnership. They were led by private investors willing to put up some seed money, and I'm saying over the course of those last 20 years, we're talking in excess of hundreds of millions of dollars, to say if we put up some seed money, we now can create a platform to allow the public to jump on and become a part of what we're doing here. And so when we came along with this what's next discussion, we identified all the good things we had done in the community with these great buildings and great infrastructure. We had phenomenal infrastructure. But for some reason or other, we felt we were lacking a little bit of vitality and a little bit of energy. And so we actually started asking some of the young people, our children's age, what could we do to help create an environment where they wanted to be? First question they asked us is, all right, well, if you want our opinion, will you really listen to us? Do you really want to know? And I think that shocked us. It gave us a little bit of a wake-up call about how they might view us as kind of maybe, are we too top-down driven and so on. And as a result of those conversations, we sort of said through messaging from them, you know what we're missing? We're missing programming. We're missing activities. We've got great, I think of it in kind of, software, computerese, if you will. We have great hardware, but we don't have necessarily the greatest software. And out of those conversations came an idea for Art Prize. And wouldn't you know it, it was Rich DeVos's grandson, 3rd generation, who came up with that crazy idea. We as a community got behind it, and so I'm glad that you're here during this Art Prize Festival that we enjoy now for its 5th year. But that's just a kind of example of what I look at in terms of collaboration. I think of collaboration as co-laboring with a common desired objective in mind. So here we are, here you are. Thank you for being here. I would say our relationship with CEOs for Cities came out of those conversations of what's next as well. We discovered Carol Coletta, Lee Fisher's predecessor, and that relationship has now continued with Lee and with all of you. And we were excited about what CEOs for Cities was all about. And we wanted some of our community leaders to become exposed to that. And so we went to our mayor and some of the city commissioners and said, you know, you guys need to be a part of this. And their response was, well, you know what? We might like to, but frankly, it's not in our budget. We said, it's not a problem. If you'll go and spend the time and energy, we'll pass the hat. We'll make it happen. And we did, and we continue to today. And the mayor was telling me all but one of our city commissioners now has been to a CEOs for Cities conference. And so that's the kind of leadership that we enjoy with Mayor Hartwell. He's been a great collaborator with us in the business community. We enjoy a great relationship with he and his team in City Hall. And nothing of significance happens in this city without the mayor being involved, and he's just been a great guy, a great leader for this community. So with that, I welcome you, and please welcome Mayor George Hartwell.
Thanks, Jerry, and welcome to Grand Rapids. Yes. Doesn't it show beautifully from up here? Yeah, it shows us beautifully from the street, too. You know, and interesting, one of the comments I get most frequently from first-time visitors to Grand Rapids is, oh, your city is so clean. How do you do that? Well, it costs a lot of money, but we do it. And you're gonna have a chance to get out and see our city today. This is remarkable. 75 cities represented here. A baker's dozen mayors that are registered and here for this conference, including several of the speakers that you're going to hear from. This is a phenomenal opportunity for all of us, and we are especially honored to have you here in Grand Rapids. So, Lee Fisher, Chancellor Zimpher, thank you so much for choosing Grand Rapids for this conference. You know, you're here at what I think is just a fascinating moment in this city's history. Of course, you've got Art Prize, and you're here in that moment. Jerry said, and it's Tubergen. So when you see him say, hello, Jerry Tubergen, he told you something about Art Prize, and it is quite fantastic. You've perhaps seen some scrolling on the screens, 1,500 artists plus, exhibiting in something close to 200 venues, all within walking distance of the center of downtown. And they're attracted, at least in part, because there's over $500,000 in prize money. But for others, it's a chance to be seen by several 100,000 people who come to Grand Rapids, come into the city, walk the city streets. You saw some of that last night, perhaps, if you were out and about. I was in Chicago last night. Drove in early this morning. The CEO of our transit authority here in Grand Rapids area is being installed as the chairman of the board of APTA, the American Public Transportation Association, tomorrow. And so they had a dinner in his honor last night. But if I'd been here, I'd have been with you out in the streets. And you saw the vitality and the excitement that happens around an event like that. But more than Art Prize, I say you're here at a really rare and wonderful moment in our city's history, because we're just coming out from what has been described as a single state recession, a decade-long recession in the state of Michigan. We're just coming out from underneath that recession, and the kinds of investments, public and private investments, that have been made over the course of this very difficult recessionary period have positioned this city to very nicely to grow, to thrive, to take its place among the vital cities of the nation. We're rebuilding an economy here, and it's based on higher education. We're not Boston, but we have 22 colleges, universities, theological seminaries that are either have their principal or satellite campuses here in our city. We're building it on health and health care and health research. The Van Andel Research Institute you see across the street, the hospital complex here at the top of the hill, and right over there at the bottom of the hill with Spectrum Health and St. Mary's Hospital. in partnership with Michigan State University's School of Human Medicine. The health sector is a key, growing, important economic sector for us in Grand Rapids. And surprise, manufacturing. It's coming back, but it's coming back in a very different form. And we're seeing advanced manufacturing. We're seeing some of the tier two auto manufacturers converting their lines and building wind turbine parts, for example. So manufacturing is coming back strong in Grand Rapids. You'll get a chance to meet some of my colleagues on the Grand Rapids City Commission who are participating in this conference, and please take the opportunity to ask any of us about this great city that we love so much here. So with that, I'm going to say again, thank you for coming to Grand Rapids. I look forward to meeting you individually, and turn it back over to Chancellor Zimpher.